Hello there, and welcome back to Rebel Scale. I have a couple of things that are really cool to show off today. I had a friend and a really good friend in Belgium who gave me an awesome deal on a few Star Wars Action Fleet prototype items, and these were the ones that I really wanted to do the video on because I think they are the coolest. We're gonna raise that up a little bit, give a better angle. So I have the Action Fleet Mon Calamari Liberty-class Cruiser and the Imperial Star Destroyer. Both are prototypes, obviously. Never went into full-scale production. These were meant to come out in 2005-ish, 2004, 2005-ish. Really cool. So let's start off with the Mon Calamari Cruiser, which this one may be my favorite one of both, but they're both really cool. So, very neat scheme. You've probably already seen Dave. He had one and he took some photos of it. He actually got it on eBay and took it out of the packaging, which, thank you, Dave. You're awesome. Unpack them, take them out of the box, play with them, display them, do something, swoosh them around. He took his out of the packaging, and you know, his is going to be the same as what I have. As far as I know, all the prototypes look the same. Some darkened areas where like the greeblies and everything were, and you can kind of see that in there. You can kind of see some like pipe work and stuff. Maybe if it'll focus in there a little bit. You've also got, I know the blue is not really authentic, but I think it looks awesome. The tan splotches, the black little rectangles that I think are supposed to be like windows and stuff like that. Really nice. A lot of asymmetry going on. A lot of asymmetry on the tail. They captured this thing very well. On the underside, you got kind of the same thing going on. The copyright is 2003, so obviously they were prototyping this in 2003. It wasn't supposed to be sold until 04, 05 probably. Thruster detail is insane. I can't get over how insane some of that thruster detail is. Like, it's not just like hollow tubes or something for thrusters. Like, you can really see some serious detail work that they put in there. The only real downside, I think, is that this thruster right here has been extended all the way to the back, which is the same thing that they did with the Micro Machine. It really should have stopped about midway through the tail. But apart from that, that's the only real downside that I see with this. There's a little bit of paint that chipped off right there. That could have been from displaying it, or it could have just been from when they made it and when they put the screw in, because this thing is completely painted. This is not molded in gray. It's molded in that light bone color right there. You've also got the two holes that are meant for the twist ties. They started doing that with most of their toys. In fact, a lot of the older molds, they added those things to, those holes to, just so that it would stay in the package and it wouldn't bounce around. It's a really great model. It's really cool to have. Now, the Star Destroyer. So this is kind of a mix of the Devastator from A New Hope and the Avenger from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. You've got in some really insane detail on the sides, and I'm trying to like shine a light to kind of show off some of that sidewall detail. Each of these pieces, I think each of those are a different piece, a different mold or something. And then you've got the tower, the bridge area, the sensor array, the shield generators. All of those I think would be different pieces that they molded and painted. And again, this is all painted. It's not molded in gray. It probably would have been in final production. Very nice detail on the back. Thrusters look really cool. There's no like detailed garbage chute, which is why I said that this kind of captures a little bit of both the A New Hope version and the Empire Strikes Back version. The turbo laser batteries, if you can kind of see those look more like the kind that you saw in the A New Hope version, except it doesn't have the ion cannon one that is on the front there. A few small differences, but I mean, for the most part, they blended the two versions of the Star Destroyer together very well. Now, for the underside, really, really very nicely detailed. You don't have the small, like, hangar bay in the front because they put a screw right there. You do have the hangar bay right there, which is a little bit, it's been shifted forward a little bit to accommodate where the stand is. A lot of nice greebling and panel line like detail. A lot of screws holding it together too, which I thought was kind of neat. But I think a really nice job. You've got the tractor beam projectors that you can see right here. You saw these little tractor beam pieces very, very clearly in A New Hope when it's capturing the Tantive 4. Those are very apparent there. They're not as apparent on the other versions of the Star Destroyer. So again, they took several different Star Destroyer versions and just blended it together to make, you know, what they came up with. And I think they did a pretty good job of it. I think the especially the sidewall detail is just insane. It's really, really cool. Now, I know that at the time, Hasbro was still thinking that they wanted to make toys for kids, and they weren't thinking that a lot of the people who had collected Star Wars were now older and they wanted display models. And because of that, I think that's why they didn't really do anything with these. They canceled the line. They were too expensive to make. Honestly, I think if they had made less features for Action Fleet and lowered the price by $5, because those last few were creeping up on like $20 a piece. If you had lowered it to $10 to $15, fewer features, and made display models, which is what like D'Agostini and other companies did later on, I think you would have they would have sold better. Because at the time, there was the Micro Machine version of the Mon Cal Cruiser, and there was a company in China that made a resin kit of it, and they were hit with a cease and desist order like late 2000s. So there weren't many versions of this that you could get. And for the Star Destroyer, you had this, and then you had like some model kits of it and the Hallmark light and sound ornament. There weren't a lot of just cheap tabletop displays that you could get, and I think that's what a lot of people at that time wanted. Now, this is the second Star Destroyer prototype, technically, because Galoob had made one back in the late 90s that looked a little bit different. It had this section right here that popped open and you could put a figure in there, and then on this side, this section right here would swing out and it had a hidden missile launcher. Probably had a few other features. Knowing Galoob, they probably hid a few other things in it. But this one was just display. Now, the big question that I'm sure a lot of people are asking is, could I get something similar to these and call it a day? Because these don't pop up that often. I've never seen the Star Destroyer pop up. We saw the Mon Cal pop up on eBay. You're looking at $2,000 easy on that one. So, I know a lot of people collect the Armada series from Fantasy Flight or Atomic Mass Games now, whatever they're called. And let me give you an alternative that I think is in most ways better. And if you're looking for something to put on an Action Fleet stand and fill that void in your shelf, I think these are going to be perfect. So first off, we have the Mon Calamari Liberty-class Cruiser. This one from Armada. It's almost the exact same size. let me back up the camera just a tad, and you will see that it is pretty much the exact same size. I mean, it's millimeters different. This one has the corrected thruster on the underside that only goes about halfway up the tail. The color scheme is more accurate to what you saw in Return of the Jedi. Detailing is a little bit better. If you want something in your collection, if you want a Mon Calamari Cruiser, Liberty-class, look for the Armada. You're going to be paying a lot for them now because they're no longer in production, but you can still find them loose. And, just get some photos from the people, make sure there's nothing broken on it. These are pretty durable. The only thing that sometimes will break is that little tip right there that's right underneath the thrusters. Sometimes that broke. But just, talk to the seller and make sure you get some photos. And then you can do what I do and make a crazy, which required a lot of surgery, but make a crazy little Action Fleet stand for it, because I like them on those stands. It looks better. Now, Star Destroyer. Armada makes one of those too. Their Star Destroyer is a lot bigger. Their Star Destroyer also has some issues, in my opinion. It's not the right proportions. It's a little too wide, I think. The hangar bay is way too far forward. The panel lines are just really, really big. The whole panels are just really, really... I don't know. It just doesn't look right to me. Now, the sidewall, side detailing, all of that in there looks great. The thrusters look absolutely amazing. They did a very good job on those. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. You can still find which I don't have at the moment. You can still find the Hallmark light and sound ornament from the 90s of the Star Destroyer if you want something. Bandai makes a small version of the Star Destroyer that's maybe 3/4 of the length. Revell also made one that was a little bit different. Again, 3/4 of the length. It's not going to be the exact same. But if you're looking for something along those lines, I don't hate the Armada one. I don't at all. But out of all of the ships, this one was probably the biggest disappointment for me, because the proportions are just not there and the panel lines are just overdone. That's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary, and you can still get these loose. You're probably going to be looking at about 75, I think. Loose Mon Cal Cruisers you can probably get for about 50. Again, it just depends upon, you might just have to wait for someone to pop up on eBay with one and snatch it when you can. But I did want to show those because I know that people are going to want to talk about what are some alternatives that I could get, because Action Fleet prototypes don't pop up every day, and I don't want to be paying $2,000 for a display model, basically. But those are your options. Anyway, I'm very happy to have these. I'm going to throw it out there to anybody watching. If you happen to be someone who owns Zam Wesell's Airspeeder, the prototype of it from Attack of the Clones, the green one, I really want it. And if you would want to do a trade, Star Destroyer for Zam Wesell's Speeder, I will offer that up there. That's one that I really enjoyed. Attack of the Clones in theaters. I know it's not the strongest movie, but I really enjoyed the ship designs. Zam Wesell's Speeder doesn't get enough love anyway. It's only been released a few times in various forms. So if you're, an original trilogy person and you want an official Action Fleet prototype Star Destroyer and you want to trade that for your Zam Wesell Airspeeder, then please contact me at Rebel Scale or contact me on Facebook, and we'll definitely work something out. The Mon Cal Cruiser, though, is staying in my collection. It's going on the shelf right next to the Homing Spider Droid and my Airspeeder and everything else that I have that's of great importance. Of course, they're both going on the shelf, but the only one that I'm willing to part with right now would be the Star Destroyer, even though it's exceptionally cool, and I think they did a fantastic job. And I still hate that Hasbro just really did not know their audience for these. The kids that grew up with Micro Machines were young adults and professionals now, and they didn't want something that they were going to play with. They wanted something to display. And if Hasbro had stuck with that, I think the line would have lasted a lot longer, because obviously the display models came back a few years later with the Titanium series, and those were primarily display kits. I mean, they had some moving features, but people weren't buying those to play with. They were buying them for display. They still are. So anyway, I wanted to share these. They're really awesome. Thank you guys. Please like, subscribe, do all the special things that make the video super special in YouTube's eyes, because that helps me out, helps the channel out. And take care, and I'll see you later.